Are you playing Pokemon?
Oh yeah.
Excuse me, are you playing Pokemon?
Yeah.
Are you playing Pokemon?
On July 6th, 2016, Pokemon Go hit the app stores, and the blissful chaos that ensued over the course of that summer was truly an experience that a lot of us will never forget. The game has shown its staying power and still maintains a massive community, but at launch, everybody, and I mean everybody, was playing Pokemon Go.
Pokemon go to the polls!
But the very fact that this was a universally shared phenomenon is what makes this game so interesting to me. What exactly was it about the game that opened the floodgates and allowed the app's peak run to become the worldwide event that it was?
Craze, Pokemon Go. It's only a week old, but the numbers playing every day could soon rival Twitter.
The summer of 2016 was something special. For some reason that no one can really explain, it feels like my generation looks at this year the same way that boomers think of the summer of '69. Chance the Rapper was still wifeless, the Paul brothers were just some guys on Vine, and my biggest worry was whether I'd have enough tips on my Dairy Queen shift to ball out at half-priced apps at Applebee's. Maybe it's looked at with graduation goggles because it was a time of coming of age for a lot of us. We were branching off, slowly making our way into adulthood and learning how to mature.
All summer 16. All summer 16.
This video isn't really about our shared experiences that summer. I don't need to tell you how incredible that time was. I mean, you most definitely lived through it yourself. But what was the hype for? For Niantic and the Pokemon Company, 2016 couldn't have been a better year to cast the widest possible net on Pokemon fans. In July of that year, a whopping 46% of the player base were people aged 18 to 29. As a junior in high school at the time, I fell in that 22% of players aged 13 to 17. And that really leads me to my first point. To get the ball rolling, Niantic had to appeal to as many Pokemon fans as possible. And inadvertently or not, they achieved this by launching with only the original Kanto Pokemon. They could have just chosen a random assortment of both old and new favorites like Legends Arceus recently did, but the iconic OGs are the pillars of the franchise. Every one of these Pokemon has been ingrained in our brains since we picked up the games for the first time. The main demographic that initially played the game grew up in the Red and Blue era, and the second highest demographic grew up with the remakes of Fire Red and Leaf Green. Basically, anyone old enough to have a smartphone but not old enough to have a mortgage knew all these Pokemon by heart. So on app launch, there were no questions or surprises with the Pokemon available. Most of these downloads were from players who were drawn in for the nostalgia factor that this game provided. With their most iconic Pokemon in their arsenal, Niantic was able to capture longtime Pokemon fans right at the get-go. Bam! Right off the bat, the app had its early adopters in droves. But if the game were only being played by longtime Pokemon fans that summer, the phenomenon that ensued wouldn't have happened at the scale that it did. So how are they able to create a game that appealed to everyone beyond their core audience? The answer lies in the gameplay itself and the app's effective application of augmented reality technology.
All summer 16. All summer 16.
Niantic had actually developed an AR game in the past called Ingress, which had a tight-knit community but was never able to take off to the heights that Go did. You see, Pokemon has always been a social game in spirit. People have been coming together to show off their Pokemon and play since the Game Boy days. So injecting this franchise with some AR was the perfect ingredient to explode the player base. How many times have you considered a world where Pokemon were actually real when you were a kid? What squad you'd roll out with? What Pokemon your friends would have? Those questions all became pieces of reality in 2016, and as a longtime fan, it was almost everything I ever wanted. Niantic had turned the world into a playground. With the lure of finding untapped areas for Pokemon, they further bolstered the map by placing Pokestops and gyms in landmark locations. In a lot of cases, the game had given relevance to a ton of cool, real-world spots that people wouldn't have otherwise been inclined to visit. Because of the sociability and curiosity surrounding the discussion and exploration of the real world, the game saw a rapid increase in downloads as word of mouth spread. Soon you had a bunch of people outside running around staring at their phones, and people wanted to get in on the action. The snowball quickly picked up after a few days, and you had people who had never played a Pokemon game before trying it out. But the app's simple gameplay loop kept everyone on. Nothing was cooler than seeing one of the starters right in your face upon entering the game. And although I remember being upset about the initial limited gameplay features, like the lack of battling and trading and the scaled back Pokemon stats, I do think that the streamlined version of the usual formula kept newcomers engaged. Nobody had to get bogged down in the logistics behind natures and abilities. They simply just had to travel and catch whatever they could find. With this in mind, you can see how it was easier to lean in towards the social aspect of the game. But if the game just consisted of players peacefully collecting Pokemon together, that too wouldn't have quite done the trick. There had to have been another vertical to motivate players to grind. So Niantic cleverly decided to manufacture conflict within the player base, making you choose between Team Valor, Instinct, and Mystic. Now you had players split into 3 teams, which now lent the game to create real rivalries and inner communities, which further spurred competition within the app. This was a nice touch to add even more to the social aspect of the game, as this team dynamic gave way to exciting gym territory wars and pushed players to continue to play the game to support their teams. Not only that, but it also gave reason for strangers to come together to collaborate and play. So you have your core player base spreading the word, a unique application of new technology driving exploration, and gameplay dependent on social discourse and collaboration. What was the result?
Looking for revenge. All summer 16. All summer 16. Playing dirt.
I think we collectively tend to look back on 2016 with such rose-colored glasses because it was still a time of general calm. And I genuinely think that Pokemon Go is a big contributor to that sentiment. For one crazy month, we were all doing what we did as kids, playing outside, meeting up with our friends, and exploring the world around us. Playing games with our friends normally just meant hopping in Xbox Live parties with each other, but this summer we were scouring the streets for Pokestops and rare Pokemon. I don't think I'm alone in saying that some of my fondest memories from my teenage years took place that summer, and a huge contributor to these memories was this game. And the impact it had was pretty astounding. Let me know in the comments your favorite memories from Pokemon Go's peak. And as always, thanks for watching.
So